Erica. And the single Tennessee, just to give like background, you did a sample from Alphabet Street from Prince, right? And what was the story behind that? Because he said that he had reached out to you about using the sample.
Yeah. Well, back then sampling rules and laws weren't very concrete. And so, I used the sample and I didn't hear anything from Prince. And then the record had gotten to the highest that it was going to get in its position on the charts. And in the moment it went down, I got a call from Prince's office. And, he wanted to charge $100,000 for that word. Because all I did was sample. He has this section in Alphabet Street. He goes, I want to put it on my back seat and drive up to Tennessee. And I just used Tennessee. That's it. I ain't used none of the other music, no drum beats, no nothing. And he charged $100,000 for that. And at first I was like, man, this is crazy. This is rape. But then as I got more savvy about how the industry works and just being a veteran in the industry, and this was many years later, I realized, and I met Prince later too, but I realized that he really did us a favor because we made a lot of money with the record anyways, first of all. Second of all, he only charged us $100,000, which he could have charged more if he wanted. And third of all, he could have taken the record off the shelf and just totally like squashed our career if he wanted to. And he didn't do that. So I actually, I learned a lot from dealing with him on that situation, that he really did us a favor.
Wow. And then the overall project also spent out another single, Mr. Window. And I wanted to know the story behind that single as well.
Yeah, Mr. Window is a cool tune where me and my man Headliner, we used to hang with homeless guys. Like there's a studio on Edgewood in Atlanta that we used to hang at. And Edgewood happens to be a place where a lot of homeless dudes would be at. And so they'd stop through, they hear the music, they stop through, and we didn't turn them away or anything. It was like, yo, come on in, man. And we start talking. And it really became a great building, what I call a building session, where we would just build on politics, on spirituality, on relationships, on life. And they were just always insightful, more insightful than people would think. And so the idea to do a song that makes this homeless man human and have these deep ideas and wisdom came from these guys, so that's where that song was inspired from.
And then also from the album as well, you released Everyday People, and that one really just it's like one of my favorite out of the three. What was the inspiration behind that single?
Well, the inspiration lyrically was, I grew up in Milwaukee, as you know, and in Milwaukee, it's always been a very sort of, a very oppressed town. Statistically, Milwaukee is one of the worst places for Black people to live. And I grew up in that atmosphere. So there's a lot of hatred against ourselves, and therefore there's a lot of hatred against each other. And so I would wear like dreads, which weren't popular back in the early 90s and late 80s. And so I wear dreads, I wear maybe some type of African print or something. And other brothers would come, and just because I had on this cultural clothing would want to mess with me and so if I'm on a date with my girl, they're wanting to mess around. And so it was this conflict between the ignorance of not understanding that this cultural stuff is our heritage. It's stuff that we really would be rocking a lot more of if we weren't taken with chattel slavery and the whole 400 years of oppression that has happened with that. We would be rocking a lot more cultural stuff. So they didn't get that because they weren't on that conscious tip. So the song is just explaining this tension. It still happens today in a lot of ways where, you just have tension within the community. And so the song's just saying I'm everyday people because, you can't go around sort of treating anybody any kind of way without repercussions.
DJ Erica.